In realms of old, where tales unfold, strange things are happening. In moonless nights, whispers ascending. Out on the road, tales never end, through misty woods and hills they wend. Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome back for another Tales of Adventure. This week we are welcoming a lovely friend, Jen, to the library to tell a very interesting story of thieving and rogues and maybe a little bit of romance. Good evening, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your character that you brought for us tonight.
There's nothing special about me. My name
That
is
is a
Jen.
lie.
My name is Jen. And I got to meet you through working with GUI Cube, being a part of that den. I work at a college, and I am the advisor to our tabletop gaming crew there. And I don't know. I'm just a broken old human being, I suppose. um, and my character is Faria Nightspark, or Fear for short, and she in no way was inspired by Akhtar, which I'm in the middle of. And she is a high elf rogue, and she is looking to possibly meet up with kind of a love from her childhood. So hoping there's some romance there, but you never know how the dice roll. I could end up dead. So.
Yes, the dice clods are quite fickle, especially unfortunately in these stories. So we'll just see what happens tonight. Um, with in mind that Fear has been looking for that particular someone for quite some time, she finds herself along the Sword Coast, in particular, quite close to that great city of Waterdeep, where there are quite a few resources depending on the kind of person you are and the kind of things that you are looking for. In particular, a rather underground group of a thieves guild. Now, supposedly, that thieves guild was destroyed way back in the 14th century by the Lord's Alliance, but as we all know, a many-headed hydra is not destroyed oh so easily, and little remnants of it are still there for people who know what they're looking for. And that is the perfect place to go looking for information, especially when you're having trouble finding someone. Or if you're looking for resources, you may just have something to trade there as well, especially for someone like Fear. And so we head deeper into Waterdeep. And for those of us who may not be so familiar with the City of Splendors, it is set on the shores of the Sword Coast North. This cosmopolitan city is a commercial hub whose reputation as a seat of great culture has attracted some of the most talented artists, artisans, and scholars from all over the region. One of the most powerful and influential members of the Lord's Alliance, Waterdeep prides itself on being a safe city, open to all who know how to behave themselves, an idea strongly encouraged by the City Watch, whose duty it was to capture criminals as well as summon medical aid. Which is not to say there was no crime in Waterdeep, rather that street crime was random and without a guild to take command. Yet, for those more familiar with the winding back alleys of this port city, remnants of that old thieves' guild is not so hard to find. Hidden within the slums at the north edge of the city are clues that can guide those with watchful eyes. This field ward is home to the most destitute of the metropolis's denizens, as well as the clandestine web of a criminal network. Here, hidden amongst the muddy passageways of Waterdeep's poorest ward, the criminal underground continues its secret works. You ready to go exploring?
May the dice gods be friendly.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so you are more or less familiar with other thieves' guilds, so you have quite a bit of luck on your side, so to speak. But this thieves' guild has had to be extremely secretive in order to survive, even in its fractured state. The Lord's Alliance really did want to completely wipe it out, and canonically they did succeed, so I'm kind of messing with fate here just a little bit. Okay, may Wizards of the Coast forgive me. Don't come for me here. So, in order to try to find them, I'm going to need you to roll an investigation check in order to find their marks and guide you through this particular ward of the city.
Ooh, that's 18.
Oh, very nice. All right. So, as you're looking around this ward, you are noticing that there are certain stones along the different passageways that contain a rather unique mark. Now, at a casual glance, it probably just looks like a bits of scrape marks, perhaps from passing wagons or different carts as they travel back and forth from the different tanneries and smithies that are here in this ward. After all, Waterdeep is kind of known for isolating things and different shops and guilds that it finds rather distasteful. And that includes those guilds that have, well, rather more of an odorous smell about them. And so those carts would have caused marks along their way. But some marks have more of a pattern to them. And you're noticing that some of these have kind of a three-barred scratch to them. And following this pattern eventually leads you to one particularly narrow alleyway where suddenly the marks disappear. But you are noticing at the end of this alleyway is a broken down tavern. And above it, on the lintels and doors, are those three barred marks again. And you suspect this is exactly where you are meant to go. What do you do next?
Well, I feel like we're going to the bar, uh, the broken down bar. I think so. I'm feeling it.
All right.
I might be feeling my death. We're feeling it.
You've got vibes.
it's,
Hopefully
gonna,
they're
it's
positive vibes. I
gonna be a
did
very
promise
short
not to
show.
kill you. All right. So, down a dark, muddy alley in this shady section of the ward is a tavern that is never a first stop on anyone's travel list. In fact, it would likely warrant mention on Mordekainen's list of locales all sensible adventurers should avoid at all costs, which suits the patrons of the Wounded Rogue just fine. After all, it is not the cobblestone appeal of its grimy windows, nor the acrid smell of the daily special, which lures the local charlatans back to this shady taproom again and again. This hole in the wall conceals the covert remnants of the once influential Thieves' Guild. Even now, only the most elite among the criminal underground's hopeful denizens are given a chance at membership to its secretive connections. From the outside, the tiny tavern's crooked door informs would-be patrons that more than a few brawls have spilled out into the muddy street. Inside, a grumpy half-orc welcomes guests with a silent, beady-eyed stare. And for those granted membership to the real treasure, it lies beyond the dank taproom and grimy tables. And looking at the walls, you notice those three bars again at the furthest wall at the end of the tavern.
Hmm.
What do you do?
Is there a table near that wall that's shadowed in the corner? And
I
is it
think I
empty?
might have lost your audio just a little bit.
Let's see. Is it working now? How about now?
Hmm.
No.
Let's see. I see the bars moving, but no sounds
Yeah.
coming through. That is very strange. I wonder if it's on my end. That would be new and different.
How's this? Hmm. No, we can't lose it now.
Hmm. Okay, try talking again.
Testing. Test, test, test.
Possible that it's just suddenly gotten very quiet for me, which would be so bizarre because all the levels are good. Oh well. Okay. I'm going to trust my computer and just go with it.
We'll try.
We did try. So if your computer says it's okay and my computer says it's okay and the chat is not complaining, I'm going to trust everybody and say that my computer just randomly went deaf because
Yeah.
that does happen on occasion. Okay.
um, is there a table in the shadowy corner of the wall with the three marks?
Most of the tables are near the center of the room,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there are tables kind of scattered everywhere. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't a table blocking that wall, so to speak. So it's not like if you go to a coffee house where sometimes the tables are along the wall, there isn't one
Yeah.
specifically along that wall.
Um, you know what? I'm just screw the table. We're just gonna go up to the wall and kind of lean back and put our arms up and one leg up, like against the wall there, and we're gonna start seeing the patrons and what people do when I get underneath that mark.
Okay. If you'd like to take a closer look at the mark, um, you are welcome to go ahead
Ooh, all of a
and,
sudden I can't hear you.
well, that's very strange. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hmm. Interesting. So I'm wondering if this is more of a Video Ninja situation than a OBS situation, which would be new and different. Never had it be weird to me before. Do 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 do. But I do see that it's not picking up my. Hmm. Yo. How about now? Ha!
Yay!
That was weird that it randomly turned them off for no reason. Chat is being so nice to us right now as we go, why is Video Ninja rebelling? For the first time ever.
Well,
In
everything
like two
signed in on the
years,
first
it's never
time.
just rebelled
Yeah.
for no reason at all. How interesting.
It's the curse.
It
All
is
right,
the
so I'm leaned up.
curse. Usually,
I'm
curse just
leaned.
makes me sick. Instead, it's making the computer sick.
Uh,
How
I'm
new and
leaned up. I'm
different.
leaned up against the wall. Leaned up against the wall and looking for anybody who's looking a little oddly at me.
Okay. Well, in this sort of a tavern, that would be everybody because
Yeah, yeah, but out of the normal, like looking at me.
Um,
A little
but
sharper than normal.
you may get the occasional curious glance, but
Mm.
provided that you are being truly casual about it and not drawing any um, unnecessary suspicions in your actions, most people are probably going to ignore you here. It's the sort of place where folks tend to keep to themselves. Sure, they hope for a chance to get to the most elite space beyond, and so they're going to be curious if they suspect you're someone who qualifies to meet those standards, because they certainly want to get in good with someone who could go back there. But at the same time, they don't want to be anyone who's remembered as anybody, because if you're not somebody, then they don't want to be known as someone whose face is remembered, whose mannerisms are remembered, and most certainly whose name is remembered by anybody. In that way, that criminals are nondescript and invisible in the background, even unto each other. You're nobody, they're nobody, and we're all just here to have a casual drink together.
Ha, that's never worked for me. Um, I'm gonna start reaching, feeling along the wall behind me, trying to seeing any cracks, and these walls can't be maintained that well. Anything that feels anything, casual stretch, feeling the marks on the wall, just
um, if you are particularly noisy and you're stretching, you may hear the occasional hint of a thunk from the half orc tavern keeper as he noisily puts away goblets and other utensils. His very quiet way of going, keep it down over there, as he tends to keep rather a firm grip on the various boisterousness that can occur in a space like this. And he
Well,
doesn't
I
want things
never.
getting out of hand.
I never. All right. S- I'm I'm turning around. I'm gonna be looking at the wall. I'm making it obvious. Let's see who comes over to me. I'm not being loud. I'm not being crazy. I'm not causing a disturbance, but I'm clearly looking at this wall and giving it a once over.
Roll investigation. Sorry.
Hmm. Let's see. Roll. Oh, 7.
Oof, okay. Well, you have gotten very up close and personal with this panel. Um, Nevertheless, it is a bit trickier than you expected to figure out how, or if this even is something that can be opened. I mean, certainly that marking you followed is here, but how, what, where? Is it a trick panel? What is happening here? But luckily for you, you hear a soft behind you, and there is a blue-skinned tiefling there who very subtly steps up beside you, looks you over, says, I presume that you are looking for something.
I presume that you know something?
She says, it's my job to know quite a few somethings,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I'm afraid you'll need to be much more specific than all of that.
I'm looking for some specific information from people who might know, if the reputation holds, that is.
Well, you've certainly gotten yourself this far, glancing meaningfully up at the marking, but you don't seem to know quite how to get through the right door.
Yes, the door. seems to be missing a knob. You wouldn't know how to get through that, would you?
I found doors always open to those who know how to ask the right questions.
Hmm. What does it take to get this one open? And what would the door want of me?
At this point, she speaks to you in Thieves' Cant, and she says, the right door will always open to those who truly know the right way.
Hmm. Hmm. She looks at the floor. Does the floor have any markings on it?
The floor is incredibly grimy and dirty. Oh, I'll be honest. This is not a well-kept tavern.
I'm sorry, I walked in here now.
There's a reason I put that little dig in there about Morgan
Yeah.
Freeman's list of locales.
Yeah.
It was
No
a good
stars.
clue. Um, yes, but you're noticing that there seems to be kind of an odd pattern of what can best be described as either scuff marks or repetitive shoe prints on a couple of the stones. Now, in any other tavern, you might just be like, well, people have worn this down by sitting at a table. But there's no table here. And it's kind of odd that such a stone would get cleaned in this really gunky, grimy room next to a wall.
What happens when she steps on the stone and scuffs it in the, like, is there a direction to the scuff that it seems to slide?
It seems to be more of a um, perpendicular kind of scuff to the wall. So,
Ah,
wall, scuff. And as she kind of wipes away a little bit of that grime, she's noticing a small symbol to the goddess Tamora.
I knew I should have paid attention to religion. Um, so, and against the wall where that scuff mark is, can she see a seam?
No.
Hmm. She kneels down to take a closer look. The penitent rogue. Um, and she gets down on one knee and she takes a closer look at that mark.
Mhm. Um, it's in the shape of kind of an unusual flower that's said to be sacred to the goddess. It's occasionally seen to be grown near the region of Neverwinter and Phandelver, but it's incredibly rare. It's almost never seen. It's sort of occasionally pictured on symbols for different clerics. Um, and you're remembering that as you're seeing this, that you've seen the symbol occasionally placed into the hilts of daggers worn and carried by rogues who worship the goddess And although she's known as Lady Luck, you're remembering that sometimes she is considered the patron of rogues and thieves.
So if I take my dagger out and place it against that slot in the floor or the scuff in the floor, does it do anything?
You hear a small chink, and you get the sense that something may have unlocked, but you are not sure where to place your hand.
Hmm. Is there any sign in the grime that has been wiped or moved away off the
On
wall?
the wall.
Clearly, if anybody has touched this more than once, there have got to be clean spots. Clean, clean. Yeah,
Cleaner. You
kind
can always ask the
of.
tiefling.
Where do I put my hand?
She smiles at you and says, I see you also have patronized, with an raised eyebrow, the Lady Luck. Perhaps luck will bless you again. Perhaps not. And it is she who presses her hand on the wall and lets the plant panel slide across herself. And
Just
you get to look into the room beyond.
oh right, I probably should look before I leap.
She's gonna go with you. She's not going anywhere.
Oh, good. All right, good deal. Just saying, a complex lock would have been just as fun. She looks at her. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, stone wall, pretty sturdy. It does the job.
Yeah, well.
So, hidden behind this trick panel lies an opulent library, lush with leather chairs, hushed tones, and fine wine. Here, amongst the assassins, smugglers, and thieves, are is where the contracts of the underworld are brokered. And you are more than welcome to enter and follow behind the tiefling if you wish.
Well, we've come this far. Why not? We worked for that door. We're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
If anything, it can't be worse than, well, no, it can't be worse than that place.
Fair, fair.
We boldly walk into the room, head high. Why not? We feel ourselves. We have a righteous path we're on. We're going for it.
As you step through, that panel is going to slide closed behind you, and you are I don't want to use the word sealed, but you are enclosed in this room now. No one else is going to be able to come through unless they also know how to open the door. So it is a secure place to conduct your business as you are here. You'll see that the tiefling goes across the room to a desk in the corner, and she seems to be examining ledgers and whatnot. The longer you watch, you'll see the occasional individual walk over to her, sometimes in pairs, sometimes individually. They will speak to her, she'll note something in a ledger, and then they will both walk away.
Mm. Anybody else in this room doing anything repetitive? Anything interesting?
Not really. Primarily, everyone is just talking to each other. Occasionally, you'll notice them meeting in groups, splitting off, talking to some more. Um, Perhaps that's a repetitive pattern in a way, but it could also be construed as simply a group of individuals socializing. But a keen eye will notice that that's more than just social behavior. There seems to be almost a calculated pattern to it. After all, this isn't just social hour. They're here to conduct business. So they're
Mhm.
forming alliances, they're exchanging information, they're building contracts, they're trying to you run their own criminal empire from this small library.
Well, let's go over to the tiefling in the desk then, because they seem like they're in charge here. Um, and she goes up to her and she says, "About that information, what would it take to look someone up?"
She is now full business mode. And now, in the more proper lighting of this library, you notice that she is wearing a long black slimming dress, that her horns are well polished. Her hair is cropped short, but in an appropriate style for what you presume to be her station. And in this rather warm light, you suspect that she has a dagger somewhere hidden on her person. And she looks up with you, that same smile and grace, and says, "Well, it depends on the information and the person. I suppose that you will have something to offer in trade. No contract here is free."
I don't expect it to be free, but forgive me, but every market is different, and I don't know the going rate on information in this part. I'm looking for a boy who, well, he's a man now, about my age, grew up in a neighboring territory. Um, Rain should be, well, a man. We were betrothed once, and I'm looking for him to see where he's at. And look, I'm just looking for him. He isn't anybody special. Maybe just some information on where his family moved to.
She thinks on this and sort of crosses her arms. "Well, we don't really trade in that sort of information. We could find you a bounty hunter, of course, if you wanted to track the boy down, but that seems to be more what you're hoping to do yourself. I could, of course, send a hunter out for him, but that doesn't seem to be what you wanted either.
Mhm.
Perhaps it's something more unique that you're looking for. If it's you that wants to be doing the hunting, we could, of course, always call in a specialist, someone who could build something unique for you, something that
Mm.
could help you track the boy down yourself. An artifact, if you will, or some spell or magic of the like. It doesn't come cheap. He'll ask for some repayment in kind, but it should allow you to do what you wish."
Sounds fair. How do I get in contact with this individual?
"Oh, something tells me he'll be along shortly. The curator is here most evenings. In fact," and she turns towards the door, "this is him now." And as the door opens, you can turn to see a rather tall and lean individual. He happens to also be a tiefling, but he is quite different than the one before you. His bright red skin suggests someone who comes from a very different area than the young lady before you. And his horns seem to have been shaved short. He has dark curly hair and is dressed in a very fine suit. There's something subtle about the way he walks, as if you wouldn't really notice him, except for the fact that he is in quite a bit of finery. He sort of oozes into the room, and it's only because he's been pointed out to you that you even realized that he had been there at all. And as she calls him over to you, she introduces him as Zafan Silverleaf. and says, "This is the curator. He can assist you with what you need."
Curator. On fear. I hear that you have interesting wares you can procure.
Yes, I have quite a fine collection of antiquities. I deal in such things, if you will. I suppose you are looking for something in particular.
It was suggested you might create an artifact or a potion that might help me be guided or led to find a certain individual from my youth.
Ah, a a tracking spell, if you were. I see. Something of this nature is incredibly rare. You see, no spell of that like is really quite so common. They're limited, have a very short range. Oh, any spellcaster could cast locate object if they really had the cleverness and the skill. But to truly track someone when you don't know where they are or where they're going, that is not something any old spell could do, and there's very few magic items in this world that can do it. I would need to create something brand new and custom. It's not
And
impossible, just difficult, and I will need payment in kind.
what would you ask for such a thing?
First, I'm going to need several components. Luckily for you, I suspect they're all in the same place as the artifact I've been seeking. How familiar are you with the Undermountain?
Vaguely. Everyone hears stories.
Well, it's not exactly the safest place in the
Hmm.
world. Luckily, Downshadow is built on the very first level of it. You won't have to go much farther than that. There's a maze there. The artifact I'm looking for is at the center of the maze, in a well there. If you can bring me the dagger hidden in that well, as well as a few of the trinkets that are buried along with it, I'll be able to build the artifact you seek. You should find a few gemstones, perhaps a compass, and a few other random items along with the dagger. If you can bring everything back, preferably in one piece, I can build you the item you're looking for.
Do you have some kind of written or description or image of the dagger that you seek so I can verify it on arrival?
He kind of smiles a little bit of a sly, mysterious grin and says, "Something tells me you'll know exactly what it is when you find it. But I will do you something better. That maze is very tricky. Some would say it's a bit poisonous. So I'll draw you a map, save you the trouble of getting cursed along the way."
It's very kind of you.
And he will take out a bit of parchment, give you directions to the maze itself, indicating that it's guarded by twin statues with their arms outstretched, and then give you directions directly to the center of the maze itself.
All right. Well, I'll be seeing you soon.
I certainly hope that's true.
No, you can pretty much bet on it. Nothing's killed me yet, and I've been on far more dangerous missions than this, I think. And hey, I have a map this time. It's more than I usually go in with. Pep talking myself.
This is fine.
This is fine. This is fine. No, this is good. This is good. No, I was hoping for danger.
We do danger.
Yeah, I chose the life of a rogue. The rogue life did not choose me, trust me.
Well, before he
All right.
goes, he'll turn to the pale-skinned tiefling and he'll say, Mariana, note the contract, the date and the time, please. And she will do so in her ledger. Then he'll turn back to you and say, and if there's nothing else,
Nope, that's good for now. I'll come back and get my object, and I'll probably be seeing you again soon for another contract after that.
he nods his good evenings and goes to greet various patrons around the room.
She's gonna take a look at that map, make sure it doesn't look like there's any gaps in there. And if not, she thinks about recruiting a crew, and then thinks better of it, because she doesn't trust the people of her ilk. And goes to take off for this labyrinth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, the maze. Ha ha ha.
Oh boy.
No, it's
This
fine.
is where I roll really badly.
Oh, it will be
Initiative
fine.
20s. Fighting scenes 4.
It's all good. All right. A cavernous area in the southeast corner of the topmost level of Undermountain, Down Shadow was technically home to hundreds of people. However, the population and borders constantly changed as adventurers gained or lost ground in the perpetual fight through the Undermountain. It is here, amongst the vast village of dirty tents and crude shacks, that the newly uncovered maze can be found. Following the directions provided, you locate the twin statues on the north wall of the cavern. Their arms are stretched in welcome, a small demon set on one shoulder. The statues seem to laugh or mock you as you approach.
Story of my life. Um No, really. Um okay. Any do I think they're moving, or is it just the faces that look, just the expressions that have been put upon them?
The figures themselves have not moved. Their arms have not moved position. The robes that they're wearing are not moving in the wind or anything like that. It's the facial expressions, the closer you get, the less it looks like laughter of greeting and more it looks like the laughter of mockery. Whether or not it's just that you see them better in the lighting, or there's actually some magic at play here. Shrug.
Screw it. We live dangerously. We're just gonna boldly go. Boldly go.
Yep, where no road has gone before.
just straight through them, because our heads high and we're not gonna let them mock us. We're we're like, we're
YOLO.
proud, we're good.
All right. Well, inside, the maze is surprisingly cold and dark. Shadows seem to be trying to encroach on any light sources. As you proceed down the stone passageways, whispered voices float to you out of the dark. You hear, please, I'm still alive. Or, they never found the others, among other strange whispering sounds.
Hmm. In my head, out of my head, in my head, out of my head. Map. She is focused on this map. This map is arrows, and she is following the map straight to the map. She's heard Red Riding Hood. She does not stray from the path. Plus, the voices in her head are louder.
Fair enough. Had to try.
There's no, I don't want no, 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 no. None of my business.
Yep, yep, yep.
Mm. You don't get to be level 4 with going off the path. The oldest rogue I know is level 6.
Oh gosh. Ouch. Ouch.
You know how she survived? Minding her own business. That's right. That's right. On the trail. Focused. Must get to my love. Can't find him. Get this dagger.
So this is
Let's
why
do it.
rogues always just out survive all of the other party members.
It's because everybody who plays them is just a little bit of PTSD and crazy.
Yes.
I specialize in rogue, yes.
Rogue bard.
Yeah. So much so that I got a lock picking kit because I figured, you should be able to do the things that you say you do, and it'll add to your role play. So, not that I pick locks.
Oh, I didn't teach myself how to do that as a child. That never happened. Nope. Mm-mm. That's not a thing. Shh.
I never learned how to steam an envelope open and forge my parents' signature on a school letter.
Well, I was homeschooled, so I didn't need to learn how to do that one. It's
Dad
crazy.
had signed, that was back in the day before checks were digital, and he signed a lot of checks for payday at work. And so his signature was like a squirrel and a line and a dot. Yeah, yeah, it was good.
That is one
It was
reason
good.
to advocate for like a full proper signature.
Yeah.
Much harder for your kiddos to pull shenanigans.
Oh, unfortunately, when my kid caught shenanigans, I had to be down at the principal's office.
Ouchie.
Yeah, yeah. It's all right. We all got to be friends.
That's one way to do it.
Whew, yeah. All right, going down the maze.
And so we go. Well, intermittently throughout this maze, you encounter pale marble statues in various poses. Each time you come across one of these detailed decorations, you find that the carvings change swiftly, shiftly. Bleh. See, I write these and then later my brain is like, why would you do this to someone who's dyslexic? I'm like, I don't know, brain, but I do it all the time.
I do it all the time. I know. I write so much better than I speak. I sound so eloquent when I write.
It's true.
I lose words all the time too. I don't know about you, but you'll be like, the word wait, the words right, it means this, and then the words right there, and the other person's
The
like,
thingy.
you
It's
know
like
what?
sharp and
Yeah,
stabby, but the other one, not
right,
the thingy, not the
right.
little one,
Yeah.
the longer one.
With the thingy on it, right? Like that.
Yes. And it goes like that.
The fancy stabby. I got you. I got you.
See, my mom is fluent in Chelsea, but nobody else is.
Thankfully, my husband speaks. He'll be like, "Did you take your medicine today?" Nope, sure didn't. Help me find the word.
Yes, this is a morning sentence. Are you medicated? No?
Yeah,
Okay, here we go.
it's so addictive. I've set 5 alarms and I still forget it. Yeah, and that's how you know the ADHD diagnosis was real.
Yes. We aren't faking. I feel like I'm faking sometimes, but nope, we're not faking it.
Nope.
It's
And when you
real.
take it and you give it like 20 minutes, you're quiet.
Yeah. Like, oh
Anybody else
yes,
would be
okay, I
flying.
remember this
Yeah.
feeling.
One thought in my brain at a time. How wonderful.
What are spell slots again?
Yeah. First time I took it, I was at work, and my boss at the time, Katie, I bet about an hour, and all of a sudden I stopped, and I looked up and I got mad and I walked into her office and I was like, "Is this what it's been like for you all the time? How do you not take over the world?" And I just started like tearing up and she's like, "Okay, we're going to shut our door and go get a cup of coffee, okay?" I was like, "I'm just doing the things and answering the phone and how do you not take over the world? You've got all this brain power." And she was just like, "So it's working."
I'm sorry, that's such a relatable reaction.
And my brain felt warm. Like the first 5 times I took it, I thought that was weird too, but
I cried for like a week, my first week on
yeah.
meds. It was during summer school. Summer school is like a huge sensory overload for me because it's like
Yeah.
a really hard time with special ed kids. And I could be outside during playground time without like clenching up. And I was just standing there
Yeah.
calmly with the other adults. And then I just looked around and realized I was standing calmly with the other adults. And I was just
Yeah.
like, is this how it's like all the time for everybody? And I just start crying. And my mom's just looking at me because she's a teacher too. And she's just like, what is wrong with you? It's like
When
I'm
I left my
adulting for the first time in my life.
when I left probably shouldn't admit this on camera, but when I left my boss's office, I stopped mid hallway and I looked back at her and I went, "You know what kills me about all of this? Is I went to all of those school like talks and conversation. Dare lied to me. Dare failed me because first of all, nobody offered me anything. Two, would have
Nobody's
helped
made
me
me
and I
do
would have figured it out.
alcohols.
No, no, I thought people offering me drugs and quicksand were going to be a lot bigger problems in my life. Okay, and I've never once had to stop, drop, and roll. Okay, things they told me would be bigger. Lord.
Nobody prepared me for earthquakes, but
I
drugs.
know. But I can calculate a triangle's area with a calculator. Humanities major. But there's a formula and I can use it. Lord. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, to the maze.
To the maze. Take two.
Take two. We've got this.
The coffee wore off, didn't it?
Yeah, I
Darn.
know. And I was like, I brought water because I was dehydrated. I stopped drinking the caffeine.
Yes. It's okay. We can do this. All right. So the carvings are changing, shifting subtly. Never mind. As you approach, I give up. The world does not exist.
Subtly, subtly.
Screw it. We'll regret that one
They're
later.
good. They're statues. It's fine.
Yes, they're statues. They be changing.
They do be changing. All right.
You know what? I'm perfectly literate in ASL, okay?
If I'm standing right next to it and staring right directly at it, does it just keep changing?
It's more like the two statues at the front. As you get closer, you are noticing that shift more and more. So
Mm,
that it's a distance approach. For
mm,
example, you might see at first an wizened old man. Assume it's a spellcaster, maybe from history, but as you get closer, it will transform into a beggar in tattered robes and one that is
hmm.
missing their hand.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Hmm. Interesting. They need art like this on the outside. People have been fascinated. I wonder if that means anything. Um, okay. And is there any like pattern? Is it to like a good and powerful side to like a poorer, more rough life? Does it follow a pattern as I'm noticing on each statue?
Yes. They always seem kind of innocuous at first. Statuary you might find in a garden, for example, but the closer you get, it always turns into something unexpected. For example, the next statue you see appear to be lovers embracing, but as you get closer, now it's entwined lovers plunging daggers into each other's backs.
I've seen that love story. Um, okay. Hmm. All right. I need to get out of this labyrinth quicker. Um, how far down have I gotten on the map that he's drawn me?
Probably about halfway to your destination.
Okay. Are the statues getting worse and worse, or are they all about on par with each other?
Mm, some of them seem more disturbing to you than others. For example, the one with a laughing angel was slightly unsettling. Um, it seemed to be one that was kind of hovering with its wings outstretched, but as you get closer, you realize the wings are enveloping, and actually, the angel had a cruel face and was holding an infant and had a bloody knife.
Goodness. Um, on one of the ones that doesn't scare me so much. If I put a hand to it, does it like better yet? Um, do I have detect magic? Can I have detect magic?
Mm,
uh, some kind of hang on,
you can roll for our whatever that one is that does magic.
Arcana,
Arcane, yeah.
Arcana. That's what I tell. Okay. Oh, hit the roll button. Yeah, okay. Ooh, dirty 20.
All right. Um, so as you are checking out this statue, you are noticing traces of transfiguration magic about it, um, that seem to have sort of allowed it to make these transformations. Um, and you're also noticing that the way the statue has transformed seems to be kind of unique to the viewer. Something about this magic allows it to sort of delve into your memories a little bit, but you just can't quite pick up on how this relates to your memories. Certainly, you haven't been around babies all that often, not to your recollection, or angels that you know of. But art is subjective, and perhaps there's something about this that is meant to sort of dig into your brain and mess with you a little bit.
Well, it isn't the first thing that's tried to mess with my brain. Um, rogues do be roguing. Okay, she is unsettled. But she doesn't know what she can do with this information. So she is following that trail. She is trying to get to the center because she has a feeling it's not going to be as easy as digging up some of these things. She's paying attention to the statuary and kind of keeping a light mental note in the back of her head of what she's seeing, but she's not going to let them pull any more time away. It doesn't seem like they're doing anything to her, so she's just going to kind of take note and keep moving.
Okay. So I keep on um, heading deeper and deeper, and those whispers start to get a little more frequent, a little more louder, and a little more personal.
Oh,
Occasionally, you hear voices coming from all around you instead of just ahead of you. You might hear the calls of people you thought you knew or slightly familiar voices in the mix. For example, you might hear someone say, "No, don't leave me, come back." You might hear voices calling your name specifically, all
Oh,
trying to trick you from leaving the trail or to question your purpose here in the maze.
she starts singing, tries to drown them out, um, and keeps her eyes on the map, only looking up to keep straight on the map. She loudly starts singing some probably bawdy song she's learned on some mission with some less than savory people, probably involving women. Um, women in gold. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. It's some kind of like sea shanty-ish.
Nice. Very nice.
I mean, when you hang out with them, I mean, I can't imagine it's like, I don't know, she's not singing Rigoletto or something, you know?
Fair enough.
She might be a high elf and she might not be bad off, but she's not singing opera in there.
All right. Well, not too much further is going to bring you exactly to where you were hoping to go. And following the map leads you closer to that very center of the maze. And although the whispered cries haunt you as you walk the stone passageways, past creepy statuaries which decorate the alcoves, finally, the narrow hall terminates at a small natural cavern. At the center rests a deep hole filled with water to form a kind of well. Two tunnels on the north and west walls of this cavern lead away into the darkness. The air is dank and stale, stagnant from lack of fresh air, and made fragrant by standing water. Thick patches of algae grow beneath cracks, which let trickles of water fall down from the ceiling. What do you do next?
Well, he said it was in the well. What did he say? It was in the well or by the well?
Yes.
In the well. Okay. So let's see. What do we have in our pack? Um, inventory. Um, um, well, she's going to throw a couple of her ball bearings into the water and see what that does. If it's
Okay.
acid, it'll sizzle. If something's drawn to some um, motion, she figures it'll be tricked by the motion and go for it.
All right. With a soft splash, those ball bearings hit the water and presumably begin to sink. However, the moment they touch the water's surface and disturb that still tension, a rumble begins within the maze, and with a boom of implosion, you are thrown across the room of this cavern, and a great rocking rumble shakes this entire room. And can I get a dexterity saving throw?
Let's see. Oh, 15?
Okay, perfect. So you will take one bludgeoning damage from being
Ooh.
knocked off your feet, but you are not stunned. Okay.
Huzzah. Just disturbed. Um,
Yes.
shoot. All right. Is the room otherwise like have rocks fallen? Like how bad is
Yeah, the room is pretty shaken, and in fact, go ahead and roll an insight check.
okay. lost it. There it is. 18.
Perfect. And as you're looking around to determine the exact damage done to this cavernous room, you're realizing the exit you just came into or out of that was behind you has shifted to now be across from you where that north exit used to be.
Wonder if I keep hitting the water, if it'll just keep rotating. Um, Interesting. Hmm. She goes up to the water's edge and looks down in it and tries to determine if it's like a spell that's doing it or what is triggering in the water. If there's a physical trigger, some kind of pressure plate in there, she sees something.
Yeah. Um, Looking down, you see your ball bearings, as well as what you presume to be the dagger that you are looking for, a few gemstones, a compass, and a few other scattered odds and ends. Um, as far as you can tell, no pressure plate, no tripwires, and no other sort of sneaky devices. But there does seem to be something weird about the shape of the pool. And if you roll an Arcana check, you may just be able to figure it out.
The 9.
Okay. um, so as you're gazing into the pool itself, you are kind of realizing that given the shape of this cavern and the shape of the pool of water, the two don't really make sense logically based on your understanding of subterranean aquatic fixtures. Sure, maybe this could have formed this way, but you're starting to question whether or not this is actually a deep pool of water, or if maybe it's some sort of spell or magical trap or some other device. To be
Are there
determined.
any are there any like flat rocks or shells or I don't know, something flat and like hand-sized or something in this room?
There's plenty of loose shale and pebbles lying around.
Perfect. I take a flattened rock and start creating a well next to the water. And at first, it's not at all connected. I have it. I start working and digging, and maybe it's a little wider, oval shape, something into the room, and then kind of digging it deep until I think it's about the volume again using my Pythagorean theory here. I know that's triangle, so that's fine. But I'm digging in, and I'm trying to kind of estimate it before I take that rock and kind of help it create a river, and you kind of do it and throw myself back really quickly, and see if I can drain off any of that water.
Okay. Um, yes. Real water does pour into this new hole that you have dug into this area there. And it looks just like the stagnant water you'd expect, and you are able to touch it without any sort of weirdness happening.
Hmm. Okay. And I'm gonna dig down a little bit further in it and try to drain off as much water as I can out of that pool. Has that pool gotten and the pool's gotten more shallow, like the
Um,
original pool?
Mathematically, yes, but I mean, talking about
Yeah.
like a big pool of water.
Yeah. And there's nothing new she sees on the edges of that pool that appears now that she's drained away the water.
If she has the training and the ability to notice, she might see a slight shimmer begin to appear only above the water of the original pool
Like on the water or at the top line of where it was?
on that top line as
Perfect.
it's slowly starting to fill the new pool.
She is now seeing that, she is now going to dig down herself and start to dig a tunnel into just above where she's drained it down to. Um, it takes her a while. She's just got a shale shovel. Can't break her nails. And digs and starts to dig down in now that she has seen that it's staying at that level to try to get in underneath it. She's not going to try to get like great lengths, but enough that she's not going to accidentally stick her head out and misjudge it, and
Mhm.
because she's a klutz, she knows better.
Yes. Um, she's going to be able to do that as long as she's careful about disturbing that, whatever it is. She'll be able to dig as long as absolutely necessary without anything disturbing her.
Okay. And she drops down into the remaining water, and starts to try to retrieve the items.
Okay. Um, and you are able to do so. Once you've picked up the dagger, you'll notice something kind of weird about it, almost as if the hilt is solid, but the blade itself is not. It's there, but not there all at once. And that gives you kind of a funny, feeling before tucking it away. And then you are able to exit by whatever means you choose to do so.
Back through the tunnel I've made. It seemed safe. It worked the first time. Um, all right, and now the way back that I have a map to is closed, right? Fantastic.
Well, closed. I mean,
Well, I'm not digging tons of rock out of my way. All right, and there's two other exits. Are
mhm.
there any markings on them or no any kind of markers on them that could tell me something?
You already observed that when everything rotated around the room, that original exit is actually now the north tunnel.
Sure. Yep. Uh, let's take it. Let's see. I'm not
Do
going to stay
you
down here the
believe
rest of my
me?
life. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm rolling the dice on everything else. Let's just do that. Yep. That's the way. We're just Lady Luck. It's been the theme since I came across that door. We're going to keep taking it cuz fated mate. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. Fate's on my side. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
hmm
Nothing could possibly go bad.
I got you
I'm
this
good.
far in one piece.
Dungeon Roomba time.
That would be very mean.
Yeah, no, no, come on, I'm nice. Oh, whatever. Oh.
As you're exiting through this maze, you start to see familiar markers, including some of those statues you encountered on the way in. The
Oh,
laughing angel, those lovers perhaps not so much embracing, and that beggar in tattered robes. And that gives you a bit of comfort as you exit that you did, in fact, pick the correct tunnel. The map is still good and be able to guide you all the way back out. And perhaps with a wee bit sigh of relief, you find yourself back out um, in the first level of Undermountain, ready to head your way back to the Wounded Rogue and hopefully to where you will get your artifact that will help you find Rain.
All right. We head back in, and is our distinguished gentleman present?
He is present,
Mm.
sitting in one of the leather armchairs by the fire. And present as well is the pale blue tiefling, Mariana, sitting at the wooden desk, checking through her ledgers and doing various bits of paperwork.
I assume there's another empty chair nearby him that we can slide into.
Absolutely.
Uh, your map was fantastic, by the way. Small little detail you left out. Water deadly. Yeah, would have been
He
helpful. Just tiny bit helpful. Mhm.
he will smile at you and say, well, in a world where knowledge is the coin of trade, not all knowledge will come freely. Everything comes with a price, and after all, I've learned quite a bit about you and your skills. Sometimes a little bit of trading information means withholding bits of information. Were you able
Why,
to find everything that you needed?
I can't decide if I like you or I fear you. I've decided to do a bit of both. Yes, no, I found your items, including the dagger that isn't a dagger. It's a fancy little piece of thing. I wonder if people would be wondering to know about that. But lucky for you, we had a bargain, and I keep my bargains. A thief of my word. Here's your dagger, and here's the compass and the gems and everything else that was in that hoard down there. I'm keeping the map. Can't have that. It's my treasured marker of this journey.
He smiles a bit indulgently and sets aside a few of the items, including the dagger, and says, I too am always a individual of my word, and picks up the compass, examines it, says, yes, this should do nicely, and then sets it on the armchair, examines a few of the gemstones, pulls up one of the brooches and starts to pry it apart to get at one of the gemstones. And then you observe him as he starts to put various bits of these pieces together. You hear him chanting and focusing his arcane magics on both the compass and the gemstones as he welds one onto the back of the compass and then focuses that energy into creating your unique item. And once he's finished, he hands the compass to you and says, it's complete, but it won't work without one final step. I do hope that you need this boy of yours quite badly, because once attuned to you, this object will not really attune to anyone else. This is quite powerful magics. To attune to it, you will need to put a few drops of your own blood onto the gemstone on the back. Then attune as you would to any other attuned magic item. After that, you'll be able to use its properties to help track your individual.
Does it work just towards him, or will it always point to what I'm looking for?
Well, it will always be able to find exactly that individual you most desire. It
Hmm.
sounds to me right now that is only one individual. But I suppose in the future, if that were to change, it would help you find someone else too.
That's good because people owe me money.
It's like I can't help with that.
Thinking ahead, man. I'm thinking ahead. Um, okay. She looks at it for a minute and she goes, "Where do you learn to do this stuff? Is there a mail order that I can join that possibly could help me figure out how to do this?" I mean, because like, is it certain gems or okay, look, the look you're giving me, I can tell you're busy. Just the contract is definitely fulfilled. Wouldn't you do you agree?
He glances over at Mariana, who looks between you and says, "If you both agree, of course, the contract is complete, and I can note that in my ledger."
If should this compass work, it is. I have no lingering requirements that are outstanding. You, sir?
Nope, everything seems to be in order. Mariana, note it in your ledger, and she does so.
Is the dagger still out on the table?
He looks a bit surprised. "You wish to trade for the dagger?"
um, no, I'm just so curious about it. Wanted one last look at it. That's all. Strange, strange object for you, I suppose.
Some things may be seem strange at first, but the more you get to know them, perhaps the less strange they seem.
Mm, kind of like some friendships, worth more than goods.
Hmm,
You have a good day,
perhaps.
sir. um, she's gonna take it over in here. Well, I don't know. She's probably gonna take out of this area entirely. Um, and find some quiet area. She's gonna do the drops of blood and do her meditation and attunement and um work on trying to coax this thing into working with her. Please work with me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, and it really does only require those drops of blood on the back onto the gemstone, and it will respond to you after the usual required time of attunement. Some say only an hour, others say whatever the length of a long rest, short rest is. We'll say, an hour for our purposes.
Okay.
And as you're attuning to it, you recognize that it has several spells contained within the object that you can use it to potentially cast locate object, locate person, even scrying. And that if you choose to do so, you can focus that energy and charges to use a type of detection that creates kind of a homing signal that would tell you if you're getting closer or farther away from your quarry, and that it could potentially guide you to exactly where your betrothed is at this very moment.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's slow beeping and it gets a little faster. So beep, 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 beep. All right, we're going that way. um, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna focus in on rain and try to use that ability to help us guide us in the right direction.
Absolutely. Um, and you are welcome to do this for as long as it takes to find your missing love. But that particular reunion is a tale for another time.
Oh, it's always unrequited love for me. I'm always close to love, but never at there.
It's a whole campaign arc right there.
Will they ever be reunited? Who knows?
Find out next week on. Nope, just kidding.
Oh, that was fun.
Yes, well, thank you. All right.
Oh,
Well, if you'd like to know a little bit about this particular amulet, um, it's called the Amulet of Detection because, of course, it is a lightweight metal compass that bears the careworn marks of any good, well used adventuring tool. Fitting into the palm of your hand, the item's defining feature is that coin sized gemstone crudely set into its copper backing. Anyone wishing to attune the compass must place droplets of their own blood onto the gemstone while taking a short rest. The compass has 10 charges for the following properties. It regains 1d6 plus 4 charges each day at dawn. You can use an action to expend one or more of the item's charges to cast one of the following spells from it: locate object, locate person, clairvoyance, divination, or scrying. I always
Mm.
like that spell. It also has this particular feature: inescapable detection, which will be very
Ooh.
helpful for you.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
L- Unexpected
As
bonus.
yes. As an action, you can track your quarry by expending one charge to transform the compass into a homing device. Once activated, a homing signal will emanate from the gemstone, indicating the approximate location of your quarry. Choose a property for the homing signal. Examples include growing lighter or darker, growing hotter or colder, etc. For up to 24 hours, the compass will note any changes in the location of your quarry by increasing or decreasing the intensity of the homing signal. While this property is activated, your quarry cannot avoid detection by this property and has disadvantage against detection by any other magical means, such as scrying or locate person. Once used, this property cannot be used again until the next dawn. So, no double jeopardy. Sorry.
But he can't escape me anyways. I'm
Yes,
coming
it's
whether
true.
he wants me or not. Whether he wants me or not, he's going to find me.
Hmm.
Well,
It's
I'm gonna find
inevitable
him.
now.
That's right, because you never scorn a girl and then leave her there, and any girl does better than the FBI when they want to find out something. I'm coming for you. Mm, all right. I don't know if that's a threat or a promise, but I'm coming for you.
Both? Both is good.
Both. Yeah, both is great. It's a tale in the telling.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, as we wrap things up, I hear that you have some very cool things happening in the tabletop RPG world. Anything you would like
uh
to share?
Yeah, I actually, I'm very lucky. In 2019, I went to my very first Gen Con, and fell in love with it. I hate crowds, and my husband had to spend about 2 years cajoling me into going. And then it became the 4 days I believe in humanity again. And I met this guy, this fantastical magical bard named Alphinius Goo, and I he was screaming at me from a booth. I'm like, "Hey, you look like an adventurer. Come talk to me." And so I stood there like, "Oh, this is cool. I have no whatever. Okay, cool, yay!" And then I got home, and Facebook was spamming me with all of the people I had seen on in Gen Con, because it's creepy like that. And I remembered the gooey cube thing. I was like, I remember that because I thought that was funny. It was clever. And got talking to Alphinius. And one thing led to another. And I'm somebody who likes to write short stories. I've got a lot of novel ideas. I'm not great at the long form. Um, but I do like writing a lot of stories and have for a while. And I was fortunate enough that he decided to pull me in as a writer. Um, and I mean, I'm not a full-time writer with them, but I do, what do they call it, freelance. There we go, that's what
Mhm.
I was searching for. And I was lucky to work on them, and the Darkenhaven boxes that just came out. And then they invited me back to be the lead on the random encounters in the Gloom port that is now due out I don't know if we've gotten a date yet. Um, yeah, probably still adding things. And I was
Forever.
pretty lucky. Yeah, forever. These projects ended up bigger than expected, but I was able to do the writing for the Gloomport, and I have a portrait and my own character that is supposed to appear somewhere in there, or they were thinking about putting it in that one because it hadn't been put in a module yet um, for that. Um, and then I'm writing something that Al and I had talked about a couple years ago that in all the projects have gotten loose. So there might be a secret something being worked on too individually. And then I've been very lucky that I've gotten to do some voice work and through other gooey people. I did some stuff on another um, kind of podcast that one does through YouTube and did voice work for them and did everything. And I'm actually auditioning right now with another RPG group to possibly do some of the voices. They're doing a whole kind of voice track to go along with their modules, and I'm looking to break into more voice acting. I've done a little bit in the past. There's a oh god, so bad it's good. B-rate horror movie, kind of homage movie by a defunct company called Astron 6. It's called Manborg. I was the computer voice.
Nice.
It's so bad it's good kind of thing. Um, and it had a kind of cult following. I knew the guy who was doing the music on it, and he knew I wanted to try doing voice acting and got me into that. So, some exciting things. But I also am always very proud. I've just introduced my new TTRPG group. Most of them know. That's the husband. Most of them know. Unfortunately, the living room goes through everywhere. Um, they've all known like D&D, so I've started introducing them to other systems like Blades in the Dark and Kids on Bikes, and I'm hoping Shadowrun someday.
Nice.
So I can have a Shadowrun group. And they've just gotten their first GUI Cube module. So I'm very happy with them, and we're kind of creating our own, not true dungeon, but some kind of D&D live thing at the school. So sometimes those grassroots local efforts bring me more pride than the big projects. But also the first paycheck I ever got for writing. That was I have Gooey Cube to thank for that. That's still sitting on my fridge. Someday I'll put it in a shadow box. Um, I squealed and danced around my living room for about 5 minutes after I opened that.
Aw.
You know, they say you're not a professional until you get your first paycheck. So
It's true.
I opened that box set. I got my copy of Gen Con because I wasn't able to kickstart it, and I just one thing led to another, and it had just sat there. And I finally opened it up the other week and got to see my name under contributing writers in the DM book. So that was pretty cool. If nothing else ever happens, my name's in there. I've done it. It's a bucket list. I've checked it. I've got an IMDb page. I've got books published. It's my name's in there. I think it's important to always kind of reach for the stars, and if it's one thing, if anybody is ever thinking about wanting to break into this or do things, the thing I can tell you is don't say no. Um, the voice acting thing happened when I was rehearsing for recording music with my friend, and he said, "You want to skip practice and do voice acting?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not? Let's do this today." When I started this writing thing, I just trusted this guy who had talked to me a few times and seemed nice and said, "Hey, come write for me." Sure. Um, and that was a lesson I learned. Oh, it was I'm probably getting off a little tangent here, but there was a modeling thing that I was doing, and there was somebody who was telling a story. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a McDonald's commercial with a kid who was playing the trumpet. And there was all this music behind it, and it was kind of bright and bold, keeping with those times. And she was telling the story of how the kid got the audition. He went in to audition, and they asked a room of like 80 kids who could play the trumpet. Three raised their hand. Keep in mind, they didn't ask anybody to prepare 8 or 16 bars of music.
Mhm.
They were looking for somebody to hold a trumpet. And he just didn't say no because I can get somebody to show me how to hold a trumpet before, the next time. And out of those three, he fit the type and he got a national campaign out of it. And I've always remembered that to take those chances. And when anytime somebody asks me to do something, I say yes. And I've gotten to do some really fun things and I've got some really great tales, all because I'm willing to take that chance. So for anybody out there who's looking to break into things and do things, make friends and take chances. When they spontaneously say, "Hey, I've got an idea," go, "Yep, that's cool. Let's do that. Let's see where that leads." If nothing else, it's a story I have to tell. And lives are stories. We're all stories in the end. So, but yeah, I exciting things. I'm excited to see the Gloom port finally and see if it's heavier than Darken Haven because I use that thing for a home weapon. I'm telling you what, that's I can barely lift that box. But and the maps that have come out of it, if nothing else, man, those things are glorious. And it's been fantastic to work with a bunch of creative people like yourself and be a part of a community that has been just so supportive and so lovely, and so friendly. It's kind of a bubble away from the world, where we all just none of us. I don't think anybody has a nasty bone in our body there. Like we're all just we're so friendly, and everybody has something going on, and like this, like, hey, I've got this slot. Who's got a couple hours free? Me. I'm doing it. Let's go. Tag me in, coach. And it's gotten me to be a part of some wonderful things that, even if it's just for a few hours, I can't forget it. It's a lovely way to have spent a Saturday evening here. So thank you for that.
Aw. Well, thank you. And I'm very lucky that you were able to jump in. I know it can be a little, I don't want to use the word intimidating, but I know I would be intimidated. It was like, okay, so you have a week to come up
Yeah.
with a character and be willing to come into a story you probably have nothing about because it's a week and
Yeah.
okay, let's go.
And it was homecoming week at college this week, and I work in student affairs. So I'm tired.
Yes.
So I walked in and I was like, "Oh God, okay." Sorry, we all keep smiling. We'll just keep just come off. Worst comes to worst, we'll come off with something random off the wall, and we'll just go with that. So, but no, this was fun. And I would definitely do this again. I love being a part of stories, and I certainly like the role play style where more role play, less roles. That's it's always been my kind of thing too, because it's the living storybook that draws me in.
Mhm.
So,
100% agree.
yeah. Yeah. Plus, the dice don't like me in fights. I'm telling you, the dice don't like me.
Yeah, when the dice gods are mad at you, just get rid of the dice gods.
I have one dice that's been in a dice jail for 2 years, and my friend goes, "When was the last time you rolled this?" I'm like, "Ah, it's been 2 years." He goes, "Well, let's give it another chance." I go, "Okay, give me that die." Rolled it, it's a one. Put it back in the dice jail. Put it back on that wall. That dice hates me. It has a vendetta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
2 years ago I brought home gooey dice.
Hmm.
All the other dice are cursed now. That's my lesson. So,
I keep my gooey cube dice. I actually keep on a shelf in my bedroom. All the other dice are like in a big. Well, I think it was technically a candle holder, but it looks like a lantern that I found at a craft store, and it's full of dice. And we've been rebuilding it actually because my friend works at a disadvantaged high school, and he started a TTRPG club, but they had no funds. So everybody in our game group chipped in things. We bought some things off their wish list, and I had some organza bags, and I put together the dice sets out of our dice, and we're slowly rebuilding through. We did a couple cups full of dice at Gen Con last year, and we'll probably be doing that again.
nice.
So yeah, so I hopefully threw out some of the accursed dice to younger people who are more energetically to attune to them and make them roll better because there were some stinkers in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was charity, but really also trying to get the stink off me. Yeah, yeah, but no, it's I have to say it's definitely 2019 was a fortuitous year for me um, to get to know some wonderful people and the community keeps growing and I feel pretty blessed to be a part of that and have been blessed a part of that for such a long time. That's definitely been fun. So
Agree. It's been nice to be a part of everything.
yeah, it does seem to center around Gooey Cube. I don't know. Every everything seems to have a hand in it and or has a pathway into it. You know, he does a lot with the Luke Gygax and all this stuff, and it's just like every time I meet somebody and they've done something else, and it's just like, oh, you're in Gooey Cube too, and you're like, what? How do you do this?
Yes.
I think that's the magic of Kim, really. And I would expect nothing less from somebody who does marketing as their day job.
Yeah, there's that.
You meet him, you can't help but know him. He's not going to let you get away unless you're determined to be a nasty personality. He's not going to let you get away without being touched by something. And that's as somebody who can be shy, believe it or not, who can be shy and a little bit timid about that stuff. It's yeah, yeah. He definitely pulled me in.
Yes, it can be very difficult to say no to him as someone who's tried. Didn't go down well.
No, no.
No.
Lawrence is another one. You don't say no to Lawrence. He's like, "No, it's good. We're gonna do this now."
I can get, yeah, I can like kind of, I have to like do the face though. See, I come from military family, so like Lawrence knows when I'm like firm no versus like no. He can like see it in my body.
I tell my friends like this. I have an aunt where she's second generation. I'm third generation Polish American, and the hospitality that goes into that is huge. And so when I would bring my friends to meet her, I said, "Now look, if you want a little more, tell her no. You'll get a little more. If you really don't want any more and you can't even pretend to nibble at something or drink something or carry on, tell her no like it would offend your ancestors. I need you to be rude about how no you say. You have to like no, why would you even? Because it just such I mean, really make it like you're offended at this thing. And possibly you might just get a little again. Because she's probably gonna give it to you still. um and it's that kind of energy of the like no I'm good wow I'm good gets me a buffet all right it's okay she'll box it up for you too um used to ask for a little glass of wine ended up with half a bottle of wine.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
now that was good that I liked. She pours right to the top. That's how you're supposed to. One of us is pouring wrong and I don't think it's me. Yeah. 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 But that's the magic too, because sometimes we're afraid to say yes. And the thing that they don't let you do is fail or feel bad about something that doesn't work out. So um that's why I'm never afraid to take a chance with them because if something doesn't work out or things end up too busy, it's just a conversation. And 9 times out of 10, they've talked themselves into 50 more pages anyways. So I can just turn it in late.
I don't know if they were talking all that hard
Yeah, I know.
as the person that's
I don't,
uploading all this to Roll20.
yeah.
Like, could you do less talking?
Bless your heart.
Woof.
To use a favorite Southernism of mine that I'm going to continue to use, even though I'm not from here. Bless your heart.
Yes.
I feel for you. But also think of the glory when it's all done. Think of the
Yeah.
glory. You will have honored the empire.
Yes. I'm quite proud when it's all done. In the middle, I'm like, ouch. But when it's all done, I'm
Yeah.
like, the pretty pages.
Yeah. it's just just like in education, right? Like halfway through your second, third year, you're like, why do I do this to myself? I can't even see the future anymore.
Yes.
Students come into my office like halfway through the year, they're like, it's midterms. I'm thinking about quitting, Miss Jen. And I'm like, I'm a master's student. I'm right there with you. I don't know. But I've got this on top of it. Like
Hmm.
I just want to take a nap in the worst way.
Yeah,
So yeah, it things change and things stay the same all at once, and that's just the beauty of life. The
it's true.
beauty of life. Yep.
Well, on that beautiful notes, I hope everyone has a most lovely weekend. Is not working too hard, adding extra pages to things that are already too long.
Not talking to anybody in particular, Kim.
Yes, I know some of you are in the chat.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Weaving my trouble.
Sleep is good for you and me. But until next time, have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Bye.